there's a new study out which breaks down the evolution of support and opposition to the death penalty. And not surprising to much of our audience, but maybe surprising to some people who haven't seen the numbers, if you support the death penalty, you are disproportionately likely to be white and not a minority, and also a white male, interestingly enough. According to a 2013 Pew Research Center survey, 55% of adults say that they favor the death penalty for someone who is convicted of murder, and this is compared to 37%, which is a minority but a significant number who oppose the practice. A majority of adults still support the death penalty. There's no denying that at all. And even though support for the death penalty has declined over the years from its high sometime in the 70s, we still have a majority who say, I'm okay with the death penalty. What's interesting is when we break this down in terms of race, there is a huge racial disparity when we look at the death penalty. And 63% of America's white population supports capital punishment, but only 36% of black people and 40% of Hispanics do. Right-wing racists are going to respond to this clip, and we know what they're going to say. They're going to say, well, yeah, black people and Hispanic people just are always guilty of more crimes, so of course they're against the death penalty because they don't want it for themselves. Of course, statistics can be inconvenient. Statistics tell us that the death penalty is not a deterrent to crime. So the idea that for their own personal gain, black and Hispanic people don't want the death penalty so that they'll go out and commit more crimes is a factually bankrupt idea. What it does shed light into and should really alarm us about is something I've been talking about for years on this program, which is that the death penalty is disproportionately applied to minority criminals relative to white criminals. And when we look at the numbers, it is disproportionately applied not only to Hispanic and black criminals, it is disproportionately applied when the victims are white. So I'm not really surprised by these numbers, Lewis. I think that the right wing, unfortunately, is going to seize on them as meaning something or representing something that they don't.
Right. I think it's really just a sign of tradition more than anything, right? If it's been a part of the culture for so long and the minorities are newer to the culture and perhaps not exposed to it in the countries they came from, their parents weren't, their grandparents weren't. Maybe it's just that simple.
Yeah, that's kind of the definition of conservatism, right? Keep doing things the way we've been doing them solely because that's the way we've been doing them. And if you are white, rich, and from the north of this country, you are disproportionately, exponentially less likely to ever face the death penalty than if you are black, poor, and from the south, assuming the same crime. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen, assuming the same crime. This encourages, it goes along all of the reasons that we oppose the death penalty, right? It encourages a system of revenge. It is expensive to administer. It does not deter crime. It's unfairly applied. I don't know, Lewis. I mean, 18 states have already abolished the death penalty. We've made the case pretty clearly here. No other countries at our level of development are still utilizing this absurd practice. And I think that it is actually a winnable battle to eliminate the death penalty from this country altogether. 18 states is no small number.
No, you're right. It's easily a winnable battle. It's just going to take time, like most of these battles, but we'll get there.